Hi everyone, I'm Michael Short. This is Let's Go Outdoors.
Let's go outdoors where the waters run clear and cold. Mother Nature's world is better than gold. So much to see, so much to do. Let's go outdoors, me and you. Let's go outdoors.
Let's Go Outdoors with Michael Short. Supported by the Alberta Conservation Association, conserving Alberta's wild side.
Hi everyone, welcome to Let's Go Outdoors. I'm Michael Short. Coming up, the common perception is that a coyote is an animal we see in wild places. However, the reality is we are encountering this adaptive critter more and more in urban settings. We find out why a little later on. The North Saskatchewan River system is also home to the sturgeon. Just how many fish live here is something biologists are trying to figure out. A rather unique summer camp takes place every year along the foothills just west of Caroline. Women from all walks of life come out for several days to learn about all things outdoors. Conflicts between coyotes and people seem to be on the rise. A new study being conducted at the University of Alberta looks into this issue. This back alley is probably not the habitat that comes to mind when you think about coyotes. But when you have one of the largest metropolitan river valley parks in the world, it should come as no surprise that coyotes, one of the most adaptable animals around, would call residential areas home. Maureen Murray is a PhD candidate at the University of Alberta, and with the help of the Alberta Conservation Association and Alberta Trappers, has embarked on an in-depth study to learn more about how coyotes live in an urban setting.
We started out just studying their movement patterns, habitat selection, diet. We also wanted to do a survey of what Edmontonians think and know about urban coyotes, because that was said to be the most important thing that managers wanted to know, is what citizens actually knew about wildlife.
Part of the study is to better understand what coyotes are eating. Maureen sets up a low-tech but nonetheless effective monitoring system.
PVC pipe, duct tape, and corrugated plastic to measure how many rodents are in a certain area.
In order to get to these food sources, coyotes often have to cross busy roads. These roads can account up to 70% of the mortality rate of coyote populations.
So the kinds of things we're measuring are the vegetation on either side of a road, whether it's drawing in coyotes or maybe helping them with visibility. Also things like time of day, because there's a very strong pattern that coyotes cross roads in the middle of the night when traffic volumes are much lower than during the day.
Busy roadways are certainly a challenge for coyotes, but it's the human encounters that may determine the fate of the urban coyote.
In this neighborhood that we're at now, bordering the river valley, residents have been calling quite often about seeing coyotes in residential streets, following dogs, being in backyards, that sort of thing. So we're just going to take a look around and see what we can do to put a collar maybe on a problem animal and track where they go.
Oh my goodness, 2 of them were following us to the dog park. I lost track of them right at the bike path, but there were 2 of them that came like within 5 meters of us.
In order to determine where to best set a trap, a number of factors have to be considered. Professional trapper Bill Abercrombie joins Maureen to help scout out a location. They follow trails that eventually lead them all the way down to the frozen North Saskatchewan River.
We're seeing territorial activity and coyotes traveling the river. What we're not seeing is a lot of hunting activity on the valley slope, which is not surprising if the coyotes are spending more time in the actual residential area.
It becomes apparent during their stroll through these back alleys what has been attracting the coyotes.
This is a prime urban coyote food source for the winter. We got a crabapple tree here, and we got ripe, half-fermented crab apples falling down on the ground, and that's exactly where this coyote was headed. They're just gobbling them up one after the other here.
But there are other targets of opportunity as well.
The coyotes know exactly what day garbage day is, and they're here the day before. They'll come when they can maximize their intake of resources. So if we came here, if garbage pickup was Thursday and we came here Wednesday night, there'd be coyote tracks all over in here.
So after much deliberation, a plan was hatched to set a trap at the Mayfield Golf Course. The location was ideal given that there was a low chance that the coyote would be spooked by anyone out for a walk. It didn't take long before the trap had been proven successful, and a large female has been humanely captured.
We'll weigh her to make sure that she's heavy enough to wear a collar. Then we'll fit the collar on her and give her an ear tag.
13.
Great.
The collar that will be used on this coyote comes with some modifications.
What we've done to modify it is we've cut the collar and inserted a section of canvas so the canvas will rot off over time and the animal won't wear the collar indefinitely. Usually takes about 5 or 6 months for the canvas to rot off.
With the collar in place, hair samples are taken, which will be used later as part of a DNA study. As well, an ear tag is attached, and from this day forward, this girl will be known as number 27. With all the information cataloged and recorded, this coyote is released to roam the Mayfair Golf Course once more. It's going to be another 3 years before Maureen has finished this project. By then, she should have some valuable information on how the coyote continues to adapt to its urban habitat. You know, this fish, over 200 million years old, and it swims in our North Saskatchewan River. Recently, I had an opportunity to head out with a couple of biologists to try and catch one of these living dinosaurs. The North Saskatchewan River is one of 2 river systems in Alberta which contain sturgeon. Just how many fish is something Owen Watkins, a fisheries technologist with Alberta Sustainable Resource Development, is attempting to figure out. One thing we do know for certain is this is a very old species of fish.
They date back to about 200 million years, back to the Cretaceous period. So from the fossil record, they've remained relatively unchanged.
Okay, tell your friends.
The most efficient way to capture these fish is the tried and true angling method, and just like the rest of us, these biologists have to rely on local information to figure out where the best spots are.
Pretty much from just reports of where other anglers have periodically picked them up, and then we'll go check those places out.
In Alberta, sturgeon are a species of concern, so when angling for them, there are some special precautions you need to be aware of.
Speaking as an angler, firstly, I like to fish for them, and speaking as a biologist, as a fish manager, it's a unique angling experience. There's homework an angler needs to do first. There are large fish. If you play a large fish or any fish on very ultralight gear, there's a long, prolonged fight, which might be great fun for the angler, but it builds up a lot of lactic acid in the fish. It's hard on the fish.
To better understand the movement of these fish, biologists will implant special radio transmitters.
This transmitter itself has a little magnet on it right now, so we can take the magnet off, and that will turn the transmitter on, and the transmitter will send out a frequency.
These transmitters are surgically implanted into the fish. Once activated, Owen and his team are now able to cruise the river and able to track the movement patterns of these ancient fish. Right now, the best population estimates put about 1,500 sturgeon in the North Saskatchewan River. It's hoped this study will confirm these numbers and determine if the population is growing or declining. Coming up, they're revving up the chainsaws at the Outdoor Women's Seminar.
Alberta Conservation Association. Since 1997, more than $120 million has gone towards conserving wildlife and fish and securing habitat, creating a lasting legacy for Albertans.
Question for you. Why would dozens and dozens of women go away to a retreat to become better at the outdoors? After all, couldn't they learn how to use a chainsaw, back up a trailer, or shoot a rifle from the man in their life? We sent Bobby Jones to find out.
Hi, Michael.
I'm here at Alfred Lake for the Outdoor Women's Program, where women are learning all things outdoors, including how to back up a trailer. Who would have thought it's a lot easier without their husband or boyfriend yelling at them?
I am not letting you get out of this. At the very beginning of any of these lessons that I do with these ladies, I do ask how many people have trailered before and how many people have experienced problems with their significant other when it comes to trailer backing, and generally all the hands go up.
Is it easier learning from another woman or your husband?
That's a tricky question. They say things differently than we do, and so it doesn't always go as easily.
Well, it's not an easy thing to do when you're first faced with having to back a trailer, when you're not aware of the concept of the fact that the trailer does exactly opposite to what you would naturally want to do when you're turning.
Linda says the biggest problem is the person guiding the trailer and the person driving have different ideas of what left and right are. Well, the mood is certainly jovial. I can't remember the last time the missus and I did high fives after backing up the trailer.
Yep, it probably popped earlier and she slept on it.
At the Outdoor Women's Program, you can pick between a wide variety of activities. For many, it's about conquering their fears.
What do you think?
I'm like, how far am I from my leg?
Yeah. We're just gonna practice cutting cookies.
Many of the women here told me how impressed they were with the instructors and the patience that they showed. They even teach them the proper lingo.
This one's a bugger to start, so...
How's the chainsaw training going so far?
Terrifying. No, it's good. It's just scary.
As it turns out, she has good reason to be scared.
I was helping my dad cut down trees a few years ago, and I pushed the tree down and dropped my hand into the chainsaw. So I actually cut my hand pretty bad. So I was terrified of chainsaws, and then I thought, well, this is a good place to take it and try it and learn it. And now I actually would use one and have no fear of it anymore.
Alicia also has no fear of tree stands.
I love it, actually, yeah. I don't hunt, but every year I come, I want to hunt more and more.
This program is put on by AHIA, the Alberta Hunter Education Instructors Association, and this summer marks the 19th year.
Really what the Outdoor Women's Program is an opportunity for someone who has either an interest in the outdoors and they've never had an opportunity to explore that, someone who has an interest in maybe learning about hunting or fishing and they've never had someone to take them out before, or someone who already has a passion for it and is looking to enhance or increase their skill.
He's always the driver, and it's fun to be a passenger, but I feel like more in control.
You ready to run the ship now?
You betcha.
Oh.
Gentlemen, here's something else to think about before you tell her that her jeans are looking a little tight lately. The firearm sessions were very popular, and not only that, apparently women are better shots than men.
Women tend to excel at shooting sports because of their hand-eye coordination, their ability to concentrate, and their willingness to take ongoing and corrective instruction. They're always better shots than guys. I was trying not to say it like that, but it's true.
This year, over 150 are here.
I don't know. I'm not very good at starting fire. Oh, first try. Right.
Mothers and daughters, aunts and nieces, sisters, cousins, friends, and others who've come by themselves.
There was a lady drove here from Peace River. She didn't know anybody. Just yesterday to me, she said, when I go back and tell them what I did, they're going to be amazed, and I'm going to be bringing 10 people back next year.
It's awesome. It's so much fun.
Love it. Yeah, we came just for the weekend this time. Next time we'll do the whole week.
It's totally empowering.
I love it here. I really do love it. I look forward to it every year.
Well,
The Outdoor Women's Program at Alfred Lake. What an awesome way to learn about the outdoors and have a lot of fun doing it. If you're interested, go to huntingfortomorrow.com to find out more.
Much has been made about the oil and gas sector working in Alberta's boreal forest. What tends to get lost, though, is the work the industry is doing to help protect this important resource. At over 1.2 million square miles, Canada's boreal forest is one of the most important ecological systems on the planet. Yet the active mining footprint for oil sand operations within this vast area is limited to 260 square miles. A sizable area to be sure, and one that offers some challenges to oil companies when doing reclamation work, especially when it comes to wetlands.
That creates some challenges from an operational perspective, but I think the longer term challenge is how do we recreate those wetland areas? And we are doing some pretty innovative work on, kind of creating a fen or building a fen, which normally are expected to take thousands of years. We're discovering we can actually recreate the conditions to get a fen going, sort of in the decades time perspective.
The technology being employed by oil companies like Suncor to reclaim mine sites is very new, and given a little time, there is confidence this approach will work.
We will start turning heads. I mean, although oil has been around for a couple hundred years as a product, our company is about 42 years old, so oil sands is about that old. We're the oldest oil sands operator. But that's relatively new in the industrial scheme of things. And then in situ, which is where the injection of steam into the ground, has a much lower land disturbance. That's only about 10 years old. So on a technology maturity scale, we're just at the baby steps phase. So I expect with the desire to make things better, but also, let's not kid ourselves with the public pressure and the public scrutiny. Everyone wants to do better. The outside world wants us to do better, and we want to do better.
And doing better means more than just planting trees.
We do want to be self-sustaining and thriving, and we want to be an ecosystem. It's not just trees in the ground. There has to be topography, there has to be water flow, like the hydrology, etc. And obviously that starts attracting wildlife, both mammals, but also the plants.
Coming up, we get behind the lens with Brad Fanson.
The Alberta Hunter Education Instructors Association delivers conservation programs about Alberta's wildlife and fish, which need to be managed for future generations. To date, AHIA has instructed over 1 million students.
Hi, I'm Brad Fenson with the Alberta Fish and Game Association with your outdoor tip. I get asked all the time, what kind of cameras should people purchase for doing things in the outdoors? What I tell them is the new point and shoot cameras are awesome. They do everything that the big cameras have done in the past. The things to look for is megapixels. That's the amount of information that can be stored with a specific image. Most cameras nowadays are going to have a minimum of 10 megapixels. The other thing that you want to look for is the zoom. This one has a 5-power optical zoom. Many of them offer a digital zoom as well. I try to stay away from the digital zoom. It's really easy to explain looking at the old style cameras. Optical is basically through the lens. So that's where you're going to maintain your quality by buying better glass. Digital is through zooming it up like you do on your computer, and you can always do that with your software at home. The last thing I'd like to tell you to take better pictures is really pay attention to the shutter button. These smaller cameras take a little bit of time to think before the image is actually shot, so you want to actually push that button and hold it. A lot of people get impatient, they start pushing harder and wiggling the camera, and that's where you get that distortion or blurred image. So basically, when you're taking a picture, turn it on, lock your elbows, and take the time to push the button and hold it down, and you'll get a lot better pictures when you're out there.
Agriculture, ranching, and oil and gas development have all contributed to a decline in our native prairie grassland, but a new program initiated by the Alberta Conservation Association is trying to change that. Mother Nature can certainly paint an impressive landscape, but if we're not careful, portraits like this may be hard to see in the future due to the vanishing native prairie grassland landscape. Agriculture and resource extraction has altered this part of the province to the point where less than 26% of native prairie grassland remains. In order to curb this decline, the Alberta Conservation Association, along with other conservation groups and private landowners, are replanting species of wild grasses in areas of marginal agricultural value. Brad Downey is a biologist with the ACA.
What we did was we actually did detailed range transects in the surrounding native grasslands and determined what the plant communities were out here. And then we looked at those community types and we developed a seed mixture based on that. This is needle and thread grass. It's one of the most expensive native seeds that you can buy. They run about 50 to 70 pounds per acre. This is probably one of the most dominant species, though most common species out here in some of the grasslands.
A type of plant you might be more familiar with is sagebrush. About 200 of these have been planted in the area, which will help a number of wildlife species, including pronghorn and the rare sage grouse. But planting native grasslands can't happen just anywhere. There are some minimum requirements.
We want a firm bed and clean soil, so we don't want any weeds in it. So anytime there's cropland going on and they're getting rid of those weeds and keeping it nice and clean, that provides an excellent site to put native grass seed back in.
It's only through the cooperation of landowners who are willing to give up certain areas of their marginal agricultural land and working with the Alberta Conservation Association that we are slowly starting to see the return of prairie native grassland to the Alberta landscape. Coming up, we're in for a bumpy ride along the Sulphur River.
Wild Sheep Foundation Alberta promotes and enhances wild sheep populations and habitat through the funding of programs that support responsible wildlife management, conservation education, youth involvement, and the preservation of our hunting heritage.
We're at the Ferrier gas plant just outside Rocky Mountain House, where Devon Energy is laying down a pipeline. What's interesting about this story is that that pipeline is going underneath a national park. The fact of the matter is that this processing plant has been on the site since 1969. It was during an expansion of the plant in the early 70s which led to a discovery of a native burial ground, triggering Parks Canada to designate the area as a National Heritage Site. Given the age of the oil and gas fields, a new approach to moving these resources from the processing plant was needed. The solution? An 800-meter-long pipeline was proposed to national parks for consideration.
I think they wanted to know everything. They're very new to our industry, did not have a lot of understanding of what we were doing and why and what approach we could take. And they had a lot of concerns. Well, the key thing that was undertaken, and it is a regulatory requirement with the federal government, is to do an environmental impact assessment, to take a look at this project and this pipeline, and see what impact it would have to the environment, both in terms of air, water, land usage, but also in terms of an archaeological sense, which is very important here because this is really a heritage site. And that report was submitted, Parks reviewed it and accepted it. As a follow-up to that, there was an actual archaeological dig here. Wherever we would disturb the ground with our drilling rig, we did a dig to ensure that there was nothing of historic significance there.
Yet a traditional pipeline was not an option in this case, as it posed a threat to any undiscovered artifacts. And despite the several $100,000 it would take, Devon saw the only option was to go deep using a horizontal drilling technique.
Although this isn't a drilling rig for drilling an oil and gas well, it's actually for drilling a pipeline into the ground, if you will. So it drills a hole and then pulls the pipe back in once it's gone through and drilled the hole. And we've used this technology for crossing rivers and streams and other environmentally sensitive areas, or areas where it's just not practical to do conventional pipelining.
Working with Parks proved to be a fairly smooth process and demonstrated a balance between protecting a National Historic Site while meeting our energy requirements. Well, you might want a towel handy for this next story as we head off for a whitewater ride near Grande Cache.
These nice tubes here, they're called thwarts. Thwarts are not seats. You sit on the thwart like this, we call you a princess. Half and half is a chicken. So we want you on the outside tube of the boat like this.
We're getting on board this Wild Blue Yonder raft for a trip down the Sulphur River near Grande Cache. This is the intermediate trip, perfect for families. Kids just have to be 8 years or older.
It's a really great, fun whitewater run without being too dangerous, too scary.
We'll be going over Class 2 or 3 rapids. This one is called the Fluffy Bunny of Death. Wild Blue Yonder offers a more extreme run on the Sheep River, with Class 4 rapids for the ultimate thrill seekers. Many people think the higher the class, the bigger the rapids, but that's not the case. I learned that class is determined by three things: the difficulty in navigating the rapids, the risk to swimmers if you fall out. How many risks are there, like log jams and rocks? And thirdly, the difficulty of rescue. Are you in a remote area? Are there very few spots to get off the river? There's always an element of risk. That's part of the fun. Watch out for sweepers, low-lying trees like this that'll try and knock you off the boat. And don't slam into the head wall when going through Sulphur Canyon. Everyone works as a team, and even if you don't fall out, which didn't happen on either raft today, you'll still get wet. After 12 kilometers, we meet up with the Smoky River for the final 4K. No serious rapids here, so time to bring out the water guns. And for those with a greater tolerance for cold water, well, a cool dip. Wow, just like that, you're at the bridge that marks the end of our 2-hour ride. There's lots of rafting companies in Alberta to choose from. Our thanks to Wild Blue Yonder for letting us ride along. Find out more at wildblueyonder.ca. You know, volunteers play a critical role when it comes to supporting an innovative program like Push to Open.
My guided walk tomorrow at the ski trails is called Beavers, slow, fat, stinky, and awesome.
They've come from all over the province to enjoy the outdoors here. Those who, for one reason or another, life has thrown a few extra obstacles in their way, and along with them, the family members and volunteers who come to help remove those obstacles. Kayaking or canoeing is one of the activities the participants can choose to do today. That's something Dale hasn't done for 25 years. Quen has never done it before.
I actually have been looking forward to kayaking all summer, and I think I missed 3 opportunities going kayaking, so when Chris called me, I'm like, yeah, count me in.
Quen's family came with her to enjoy the outdoor experience. Quen's game for any challenge. Here she is completing the Birkebeiner cross-country ski event.
Okay, you ready, Don? Yep. 1, 2, 3, up.
Special attention is given to ensure Quen is comfortable in her seat. Her paddle is taped to her glove to make gripping it easier for her.
Lift with your legs and your brain.
Their trip starts here at Eagle Point Provincial Park near Drayton Valley. They won't be alone. Gulls circle nearby. And there's wildlife floating down the North Saskatchewan.
Hey, we're on TV!
Quen says she's not nervous, but is prepared to get wet.
I know Chris will definitely, break me in by throwing me in the water at least once.
Roland from Red Deer is ready to go. Meanwhile, Dale from Calgary gets seated in his canoe. However, the leaders are concerned he's riding a little high in his seat and is at greater risk of tipping over.
I think we need to think of a solution where we get you lower, Dale, down into the bottom of the boat.
Okay.
A 4-hour journey awaits, so it's important that everyone is made comfortable.
Society says you can't do lots of things, and you can do anything you want. You might have to adapt, and sometimes you have to do little different things, different ways.
And looking very comfortable.
Yeah.
I mean, she looks pretty happy in there.
Yeah.
One by one, the canoes make their way onto the river. It's a beautiful, warm summer day, one that many here will talk about for a long time.
It's very wonderful to be a part of showing a part of the world and a part of nature that other people wouldn't normally get that opportunity to, and seeing it through new eyes and fresh eyes with big smiles and happiness and joy for all the little, bugs and everything that they normally wouldn't get to see. It just really brings a new freshness to something that you already love.
We'll have more on the Push to Open program in an upcoming episode. In the meantime, more information is available at pushtoopen.ca. Well, if you would like to catch previous stories featured on Let's Go Outdoors, then track down our website at letsgooutdoors.ca. Remember, the outdoors is here for all of us to enjoy. If you see someone taking away from that enjoyment, call the Report a Poacher line. Till next time, I'm Michael Short. Let's go outdoors.
I know